In this very first episode, we're kicking things off with an open heart and honest chat. This is your safe space for everything healing, whether it's gut health, mental well-being, or rebuilding your strength from the inside out.
We'll be sharing our stories of overcoming inflammatory bowel disease, why healing isn't linear, and what inspired us both to create this podcast. Expect raw conversations, lessons learned, and expert tips to help you navigate your own healing journey.
So let's laugh, cry, and grow together because healing doesn't have to be lonely. We created this space to help other people who are either starting out on their journey or could be years down the line get out of this like vicious cycle that most people are in, where they might feel okay for a while and then ultimately just revert back into this kind of frustrating place where they're either flaring up or their life's having to be put on hold, and knowing that there is opportunity for them to heal. It's not a dead end. So I feel like a lot of people are horrendously overwhelmed and probably a little bit lost. So Amanda and I decided to launch this podcast based on the fact that we were super aligned with our healing journeys, both suffering from IBD and really struggling to find a way out that's not the regular Western medicine route that wasn't serving either of us. So we really want to create awareness around how you can use your body to your advantage by, to start with, learning about how it works and how you can really use different interventions in nutrition and psychology and lifestyle through our own stories and through expert guests that we're going to be having on the podcast to provide practical steps that our listeners can use and take on board so that they don't feel so lost, essentially putting their life on hold. So we want to take away that feeling of being trapped and sadness and replace it with hope and ultimately strategies that they can put into practice every single day to help them get to the place where we're at now of being in remission and living our life exactly how we hoped and dreamt that we could years ago.
Yeah, and ultimately just letting people know that healing is possible. And as you said, even when conventional wisdom says there is no hope, there is no cure, you have to live this way for the rest of your life, we are living examples that that's not always the case, and that there's a lot more to the story when it comes to being able to heal these chronic conditions than most people have been led to believe.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a beautiful journey because it's knowledge and information that it's not just a one-hit wonder. You can take it forward for the rest of your life. So it's true power, really. And you can share this knowledge with your kids and your family and ultimately enable people to live a long, fulfilling life.
I'd say that this podcast is the guide that we never had when we were struggling in our early days of diagnosis with chronic illness. And a lot of the information that we are going to share and the expert interviews are not only going to provide hope for people, but actual strategy, actual change that they can implement into their lives, into their daily habits that can promote healing in the body. And I feel like there is so much information out there available these days, but much of it is contradictory, confusing, misleading. I feel like in the health and wellness space, everybody's arguing. I feel like a lot of the experts are just arguing about, no, this is how you do this, and this is possible, this isn't possible. And it's become so loud and confusing for people that I feel like it's just more confusing than ever. I aim to clarify the information for people, to give them real strategies, to quit searching for these quick fix solutions or believing that the only way to improve your condition is to take a medication or have an invasive procedure done. Letting people know that there's more options out there available.
Absolutely. No, that was beautiful. And They don't even have to be at the start of their journey. They could have had their diagnosis for years, but that support system hasn't been there for them. They might still be in a case where they may as well have just been diagnosed because the knowledge hasn't been shared with them on how they can help themselves. So I'm Katie. I'm a qualified nutritionist, and I suffered with severe Crohn's disease for 11 years. I was diagnosed when I was 18, and ultimately the knowledge, research and education that I built up over that period of time enabled me to take myself off all medication, all biologics, and heal myself within a matter of months. And here I am living in remission now and have been for 2 years. I've dedicated my life to helping others reclaim their health, confidence and happiness.
And I'm Amanda, a functional nutrition coach and Army veteran. And my healing journey has lasted for about the last 15 years. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and suffered through the excruciating pain of dealing with inflammatory bowel disease for several years before I started seeking out alternatives. And I'm in a state now where I've been in remission long term and medication free for over 10 years. It wasn't a quick journey, but it was an extremely meaningful journey. And I just wish I could tell more people that that is possible. And this podcast is essentially a platform to do that and let people know that just because you've been diagnosed with a chronic illness of whatever sort doesn't mean you are out of options, doesn't mean you are limited to taking all the medications for the rest of your life, doesn't mean you are destined to be a sick person for the rest of your life. I'm at a point now where I consider myself thriving. I'm healthier than I've ever been, stronger than I've ever been, and my illness doesn't run my life anymore. And that's what I really hope for anyone who's listening to this podcast.
So essentially, we're going to be discussing our own healing journeys and the strategies that we used to get to a place of remission, so you can use the same framework. And this is going to run in line with evidence-based, science-backed tips, as well as holistic strategies for you to use. And we've got a number of expert guests lined up, which is super, super exciting. We've got some incredible speakers that are going to come onto the podcast and talk about their industry and their expertise in a number of different areas, all contributing to inflammation, because we know that inflammation causes symptoms. We're going to have honest chats about our own flare-ups and how we used mindset to change everything.
We are living proof that healing is possible. And if it's possible for us, it's possible for you too. We're so happy to have you join us here.